Remember when this song was topping the 80s charts? Or when this artist snuck in among the big names? Both have something in common. They made our hearts race. But over the years, they got buried under the massive hits everyone remembers. Today, we're taking a journey together through those hidden gems you might have heard once and never found again. Get ready to rediscover the magic of a time that won't come back, but still lives in every chord. 11. Drive by the Cars.
Who's gonna pick you up?
The year was 1984, and the world was changing at lightning speed. Ronald Reagan talked about a strong America. The first personal computers were showing up in homes, and on the radio there was a song that made you stop and really listen. Drive wasn't your typical rock tune, it was something more. It was a whispered question in the middle of the night. Who's gonna drive you home tonight? Rick Ocasek, the leader of the Cars, wrote those lyrics, but he didn't sing them. The voice you heard belonged to Benjamin Orr, the band's bassist, a detail few people knew.
Who's gonna plug your ears?
And that wasn't an accident, there was a reason. Ocasek felt Orr's fragility, that vulnerability in his voice was perfect for delivering the message. And he was right. When you listened to Drive, you weren't thinking about guitars or drums, you were thinking about that friend who was going through a rough time, or maybe about yourself, in those moments when you felt completely alone. Here's another detail you might not have known. A year after its release, in 1985, this track was used during the Live Aid concert.
Thinking nothing.
While it played, screens showed images of the famine in Ethiopia. Millions of people around the world cried watching them. Benjamin Orr left us in 2000, a victim of cancer. But his voice is still there, asking who will take us home when everything else fails. Before we continue, we'd love to get to know you a little better. Where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. Let's keep going. 10. Harden My Heart by Quarterflash. Portland, Oregon. A city that in 1981 wasn't known for its music scene, and yet it would give birth to one of the most underrated bands in music history. Quarterflash created a song that spoke to something we've all felt at some point. The moment you decide to protect your heart from pain. Harden My Heart was written by Rindy Ross, the band's saxophonist and lead singer. It wasn't made-up lyrics, it was her story. It was the moment she decided she wouldn't let love destroy her anymore. How many times have we felt that ourselves? How many times have you told yourself enough, that you wouldn't fall again, that you'd close that heart that had been broken too many times? The hit reached number 3 on the Billboard charts. For weeks, millions listened to it while driving to work, trying to forget someone, pretending they were okay. Rindy's voice was magnificent, but her saxophone skills were just as incredible. That signature sound you hear isn't a synthesizer, it's her, blowing her pain through a metal instrument. Quarterflash didn't last long, but that song remains an anthem for anyone who's ever had to build a wall around their heart. And Rindy remains proof that you can be equally great at more than one thing. Hit that like button if you think these forgotten songs are better than today's music. 9. Broken Wings by Mr. Dot. This song started with a soft, almost heavenly sound, and suddenly that voice arrived, asking if it could take us by the hand and carry us far away from all this. Broken Wings by Mr. wasn't literally about broken wings, it was about us. About the times we feel unable to fly, the times we need someone to help us get back up. Richard Page, the lead singer, had a way of singing that made you feel like he was talking straight to you. There was no distance, no stage, just a man telling you something he'd lived through himself. It hit number 1 in the United States. For 2 weeks, It was the most played song in the country. But beyond the numbers, what mattered was what you felt when you heard it. Here's something you might not have known. The title was inspired by a book by Lebanese poet Khalil Gibran called Broken Wings. The band members were avid readers, and that literary reference gave the song a depth that went beyond 80s rock. Mr. Mister broke up in 1990, yet their broken wings keep flying every time someone needs to remember they're not alone in the world. 8. Waiting for a Girl Like You by Foreigner. There were plenty of love songs in the 80s, maybe too many, but none quite like this one. Waiting for a Girl Like You was different from everything we'd heard before. It wasn't a grand declaration, wasn't a desperate scream, it was a confession. It was a man admitting he'd waited his whole life for something he finally found. Lou Gramm sang with an emotion that made you believe every word because he believed and felt them to his core. The song was released in 1981, and here's one of the most surprising facts in rock history. It spent 10 straight weeks at number 2 on Billboard. 10 weeks without reaching number 1, but 10 weeks playing everywhere. What stopped it? Olivia Newton-John's Physical, which dominated the top spot with unstoppable force and became the defining rhythm of 81. To this day, Waiting for a Girl Like You holds the record for the most weeks at number 2 without ever hitting the top. But for those of us who listened to it when it came out, that didn't matter for us. It was always number 1. It was the song you played when you wanted to tell someone how you felt without having to search for the words, the one that played in your head when you saw them walk through the door. Some songs don't need awards, they just need to be remembered. And that's the greatest award of all. What's your favorite 80s song? Drop it in the comments so we can all listen. 7. When the Children Cry by White Lion.
When the children cry,
The world was tense in 1987. The Cold War seemed endless. Armed conflicts tore families apart across continents. And right in the middle of it all, a rock band wrote something that wasn't about parties or romance. It was about the children watching that tension with innocent eyes. When the Children Cry by White Lion was a ballad that forced us to ask ourselves a lot of questions.
'cause when the children sing, then the
What kind of world were we leaving for the generations coming after us? What future could they expect if we didn't do anything to change things? Mike Tramp, the lead singer, wrote those lyrics thinking about all the kids he saw on the news. Kids who didn't understand why adults were killing each other. Kids who just wanted to live their childhood the way it should be. The song reached number 3 in the United States, but its real impact is measured in the awareness it woke up in its listeners. It wasn't just music, it was a call to reflection.
children fight, let them know.
Fun fact, although White Lion was known as a hard rock band, this track proved they could go way beyond heavy sound. The acoustic guitar that opens the song was recorded in one take, no corrections. And today, more than 30 years later, the question remains the same. What do we do when the children cry? 6. Sister Christian by Night Ranger. Behind that melody hides a story you might not know. Kelly Keegy, Night Ranger's drummer, had a younger sister named Christy, and like any big brother, he watched her grow with a mix of pride and worry. One day, he sat down to write a song for her, with lyrics that would say everything he didn't know how to express in normal words. That life was going to be hard, that she'd have to make tough choices. That time doesn't wait for anyone. The original title was Sister Christy, but when the band recorded it, the name became Sister Christian, and that's how it went down in history. It was released in 1983, and though it wasn't an immediate smash, over time it became one of the decade's most recognized ballads. The melody got a new life in 1997 when it appeared in a memorable scene in the movie Boogie Nights. A whole new generation discovered and embraced it thanks to that film. But for those of us who heard it when it first came out, it means something different. It means youth. It means brothers and sisters. It means family. It means that moment you realize time passes faster than you thought. 5. Amanda by Boston.
Tomorrow's so far away.
Tom Scholz was a perfectionist. That explains why Boston took 8 years to release their third album. 8 years of work, tweaks, chasing the perfect sound. And when it finally arrived in 1986, it brought a melody worth every second of the wait. Amanda was a love song, but not the superficial kind. This one was deep, honest, the kind of music you write when you've truly loved someone.
I'm gonna take you by surprise and make you realize something.
Brad Delp's voice was an instrument all by itself. He had a vocal range few could match, and when you heard Amanda on your radio or turntable, you felt every note in your chest. The track hit #1 in the United States. It was Boston's first and only #1 in their career. But that single achievement was enough to cement their place in history. Here's a detail that will make you see the song differently. Tom Scholz wrote the lyrics many years before recording it. He'd kept it saved, waiting for the right moment. And when he finally decided to include it on the album, he knew he'd made the right call. Brad Delp left us in 2007. But his voice lives on every time someone plays Amanda and closes their eyes, remembering past loves or thinking about future ones. 4. I Won't Hold You Back by Toto. 1982 was, without a doubt, Toto's year. The album Toto the Four gave us Africa, gave us Rosanna, won them 2 Grammys, but it also gave us an incredible track that many forgot over time, called I Won't Hold You Back. Steve Lukather wrote this song from a place of real pain. It was a goodbye. It was the moment you accept that loving someone means letting them go if that's what they need. It's not easy to write about that, not easy to sing it, but Toto did it with an elegance few could match. The hit reached the top 10 in the United States, but what mattered was the message. Sometimes the greatest love is the one that doesn't hold on, doesn't demand, just says, go, and be happy. If you've heard the song, you know this detail. It has one of the most emotional guitar solos of the decade. Lukather recorded it thinking about a relationship that had just ended. Every note was a living memory that stayed forever in the rock pantheon. When you hear I Won't Hold You Back, you don't think about awards or numbers. You think about that person you let go, and you wonder if it was the right decision. Subscribe to the channel if you love emotional songs like this one. 3. Love Bites by Def Leppard. Def Leppard wasn't known for ballads. They were a hard rock band, heavy guitars, explosive energy. But in 1987, inside the album Hysteria, they hid something different. Love Bites was a song about the dark side of love, about how something so beautiful can turn into something that destroys you, about how that feeling so wonderful sometimes bites. Joe Elliott sang with an intensity that made you believe he'd lived every word, and he probably had. The track hit #1 in the United States. It was Def Leppard's only #1 in their career. An achievement many don't remember, because the band was so big it felt like all their songs were #1. The producer was Robert John Mutt Lange, one of the most important figures in rock history. He was the one who convinced the band that a ballad could be just as powerful as any fast song. And today, when Love Bites plays, you can't help remembering that moment when love hurt you. That moment you discovered loving too much comes with a price. 2. I Want to Know What Love Is by Foreigner.
In my life, there's been heartache.
Let's go back to 1984 to talk about the song that touched an emotional chord in more than a few of us. By then, Foreigner was already an established band. They had hits, fame, everything a rock band could want. But Mick Jones wanted something more. He wanted to write a melody that went beyond rock, one that touched something universal. And he nailed it. I Want to Know What Love Is was a question we've all asked ourselves at some point, especially when we were young. What is love? How does it really feel? How do you know when you've found it? The song included something unusual for a rock band, a gospel choir. The New Jersey Mass Choir gave it a spiritual dimension that lifted it to another level. Not many know this. Lou Gramm, the lead singer, initially had doubts about releasing this as a single. He thought it was too different from the band's usual sound, but when he saw the public's reaction, he knew they'd created something special. Today, almost 40 years later, this track remains an anthem for everyone searching for answers about love. 1. Is This Love by Whitesnake. And we reach the end with what is possibly the most romantic ballad of the 80s. The exact year was 1987, when Whitesnake released the album that would turn them into worldwide superstars. And inside that album was a song that would change the way we saw love. Is This Love asked us a question similar to I Want to Know What Love Is. Is this love? Is this what I've been searching for my whole life? David Coverdale wrote it thinking about Tawny Kitaen, who was his partner at the time. And that love came through our ears. Every word carried real weight. Every note was sincere. For millions of people, it was the ultimate love song of the decade, so much so that the music video for this track was one of the most played on MTV that year. Tawny Kitaen appeared in it, and the chemistry between her and Coverdale was obvious to everyone. When you hear "Is This Love?", you go back to that moment you asked yourself the same question. That young moment when you looked someone in the eyes and didn't know if what you felt was real or just a dream. And that's the end of this journey. I'll leave you here with a video of another oldies playlist if you want to keep the nostalgia going. See you next time.